Hello and welcome to the Blood and Pigment channel. I'm Joseph, and today we have a quick Blood and Plunder battle report for you using a scenario from the Raise the Black expansion that recently came out. We're playing the beached ship scenario, and this is a pretty quick game, some brutal turns of fortune and luck. It's a lot of fun. We're going to look at the scenario itself, look at the forces we used, and then see how it played out, and then Guy and I will kind of run down the major moments, main impressions of the game at the end. This scenario features a ship beached on a coastline that the defending player needs to protect. As with all the scenarios in Raise the Black, there are a couple flavorful variations to the scenario. We played the careening version, where the defender has set up 2 cannons on the beach to protect themselves in the case of an enemy finding them and attacking. The scenario rules modify the rules for a coastline, so ships can actually approach closer to the coast and drop men off easier, but there is some danger the attacking ship could become beached itself. Models can move up to 6 inches past the waterline instead of the standard 3 inches, but ships must roll to run aground if they get into that 6 to 3 inch zone as well. The scenario goals, it rewards the attacker for landing on the beach and taking control of the defender's beach ship, while the defender is rewarded for keeping the enemy at bay away from the ship. We played at the 200 point level, and I chose to use the Golden Age Pirates faction, led by Charles Vane. I kind of built up an overly complex list with 6 different units. My command unit was 6 roundsmen, veteran, with Charles Vane and a surgeon, and they were equipped with some... The pirates have a lot of weapon upgrades. This unit had some blunderbusses and a stink pot and muskets, or buccaneer guns. I had a unit of 8 pirates with buccaneer guns and a scheming quartermaster, a fun new character from Raise the Black. I had a unit of 5 pirates, added a blunderbuss, but just basic 3-point models. I had a unit of sea dogs to man one of those cannons, and another unit of marines with a master gunner to run the other cannon, and then a big unit of Jamaican privateers that have buccaneer guns as well. In the scenario, the careening version gave me 2 medium cannons in gun emplacements. Guy used the Guarda Costas list from Raise the Black as well. It's a pretty fun list, has a lot of fun options, but he used the Spanish option. You can play as mercenaries to Spain, basically British or French, etc. So he played a force of Spanish 12 Corsarios with experienced commander and a mission priest, which has fun rules too. 10 Milicianos Reformados, and he assigned them to the sweep, so his ship, which is a corvette, was moving under oar power at the beginning of the game. And 12 Zieleiden with no pistols, with a master gunner, assigned to 3 pairs of medium cannons. Those are our forces, very asymmetric, both 200 points, although I got some bonuses from those cannons, but I had 6 units to his 3. My unit's smaller, his very large. I deployed my forces fairly evenly across the beach. I can't deploy very close to the ship itself, and Guy deployed his ship within 2 inches of one of the board corners. And then with these forces, before the game started, we had 3 important checks to make that will affect the game. As the defender, pirates have to check to see if they can start the game drunk. I also have to roll for my scheming quartermaster. If he turns up scheming, my commander would lose a command point for the entire game. And finally, each of Guy's units will have to make a fatigue check for Charles Vane's terror rule, because he has a reputation that precedes it. I kind of purposely made my list a rabble, hoping for some fun entertainment value out of the scheming drunk pirates. But all my die rolls came up solid, and it gave me sober pirates that weren't scheming yet. And Vane's terror hit 2 of the 3 Spanish units with the early fatigue. With the game set up, we drew our opening hands. I drew 6 cards, and 2 of those cards were event cards. We use the universal event table, which we like to use for amphibious games from the No Peace Beyond the Line book. And I rolled the same event, number 3, Battle Forged, for both of those cards, which gave 2 of my units a veterancy upgrade for the first turn. So not only were my Golden Age pirates sober and respectful of their captain and a terror to the Spanish, but they were battle-forged heroes. I assigned the veterancy upgrade to the Sea Dogs and the Marines who were on those cannons on the first turn, just to see if I could turn those reloads over a little faster. I said this is a dramatic game with some crazy turns or some dramatic fortune in it, and with those rolls, I think you can see how this might go down. Let's look at what happened on the first turn. First turn opens with me playing a high card. Guy passes. He has 3 activations to my 6, so he can afford to pass several times. Ultimately, this would be a painful decision. I was able to shoot with the Marines and the gun emplacement. I actually missed with a cannon to start with and re-rolled to get a hit, and got 3 hits, and including a lucky hit. But I spent 2 fortune to get it. I missed the ranging shot, fortune got it. Missed all the damaging shot and spent another fortune. Got all hits, so some dramatic swings of fortune there. I got a lucky hit, which turned out to be to knock out one of the medium cannons on the Corvette, which is pretty costly for the Spanish. Guy passes again on the second card, and the Sea Dogs over on the other flank fire their single cannon. And after looking carefully here, we realized that Guy had set himself up in deployment for a rake, which was a little bit disastrous. At that range, we didn't think it would be too bad. It was over 24 inches, but it still hits on a 7. The cannon hit, and then rolled 3 hits for damage, which turned into 6 damage because it's doubled, messing the Corvette up pretty badly and giving it a steerage critical hit. And it made the gunners on this Corvette go prone, which nerfed the Spanish cannons for the whole turn. So these 2 medium cannons really put some pain on this Corvette on turn 1 here. Rake did not help at all. Spanish move forward. They attempt repair actions on the steerage, and I think there's a leak, 2 repairs, but they both failed. So a pretty rough start for the Spanish. I move pirates forward. The small arms don't quite reach far enough to do anything. Or some muskets fired, half fires, half shots at 10s, but did nothing. The cannons did all the work on the first turn. Spanish had to rally, so don't let them get off any shots. Pretty rough first turn. Second turn, cannons shoot again. So the Marines shoot, and they miss again, and I spend my last fortune to re-roll, and I get all hits again. So this fortune is going crazy for the cannons. Another lucky hit, but it turns out to be nothing. I roll a 1, a lucky hit, which is a 0. Spanish cannons shoot at the Marines' gun emplacement, but they miss. Spent a fortune and miss again. So bad luck for Spain. Again here, Sea Dogs hit and damage the ship and actually get another critical. But at this point, after 1 rake and 4 shots landing, the Corvette is pretty much down to 1 fortitude. So this applies a critical hit. It's a catastrophic hit, so that applies 1 damage to, or 1 strike point to the Spanish, and kills a few men, but not a ton of men. Spain finally repairs the steerage and rally their troops, so they're functional here. I'm able to get some cold-blooded shots off with Charles Vane. Get some hits, but the hard cover of the ship keeps most of the Spanish alive still. Spanish repair and rally. The gun crew is suppressed again, so it's going to take another turn for them to rally and stand up again to actually shoot the Spanish cannons. The gun emplacements have proved very valuable. Too valuable, maybe. Turn 3 opens, and Guy aggressively plays for initiative with a 13 of spades versus my Jack. He uses the Mission Priest with the Santiago rule to give all his units a command point early in the round, and they all rally, getting ready to... Or, 2 of them rally. The Corsarios shoot at these pirates I put into the beach ship here in the middle, and there's still a lot of Corsarios, like 10 or 11 of them. At pretty much point-blank range with Ruthless, they overkill them. They get more hits than there are men, 5 pirates there, and the whole unit is eliminated in 1 volley. The Spanish are able to repair their leak on turn 3 and repair the steerage, so they finally got their ship back in shape, although it is pretty fragile. They're able to shoot their cannons and take... I've rushed pirates out on the beach thinking this Spanish ship is helpless, but it's not true. I was trying to board this ship. You have 6 inches you can walk in the water here in this scenario. But they managed to pop up and shoot their cannons, and with a solid shot against my veteran roundsmen, I just take 2 of their heads off entirely, giving them some fatigue. But in the last move of the turn, the Spanish actually hit, they ground their ship. So they roll a 10 on the roll to ground, and their ship is immobilized, which gives them another strike point. I'm able to get my Jamaican privateers up to the ship and charge in, messing up both of the units in the main deck of the ship, panicking them both. So that looks pretty good for me. At the end of turn 3, Guy has 3 strike points. 1 for his ship being shot up, 1 for his ship being beached, and 1 for casualties. He rolls for the strike test because I still have 0 strike points, and I already have 1 from casualties, but he has 2 more than me. Rolls a 10, and the game continues into turn 4. Turn 4, the Spanish take initiative and are able to countercharge the pirates that I had got into the main deck with the corvette and take a bunch of them down on the first charge, and then use a command point to fight again and kill all of them, and a command point to send the Leiden over the edge and drive Charles Vane and his roundsmen back. The whole pirate assault on the corvette has been blunted, but that is most of the Spanish offensive power, and the scheming quartermaster is, with his Jamaican privateers, is able to charge into the fatigued corsarios and drive them back panicked after they've activated, leaving them in a bad position. Vane is in bad shape, but I still have a couple offensive models here, and I haven't taken nearly as many casualties as the pirates as the Spanish by the end here. We calculate strike points. I have 1 strike point for casualties, but I've maintained that the Spanish haven't taken control of the ship yet, and they aren't on land yet. I have 18 casualties. The Spanish, I have a whole list of strike points here. They have a catastrophic damage to their ship, which is a strike point. They have 15 casualties, which is 2 strike points. They have their hull more than half shot away, which is a strike point. They have a deck occupied by my unit, which is a strike point, and their ship is beached, which is a strike point. So that's 5 strike points to my 1 or 2 strike points, forcing the Spanish to roll a strike test at the end of turn 4 again, and it comes up as a 4. Commander has 5 resolve from the corsarios, and with no fortune left, the Spanish strike out at the end of turn 4. That's a quick summary of the game. Now, a few days later, I had a quick conversation with Guy. Let's get his analysis of how this game went. And now I'm here with Guy to review the battle in a miniature here. The battle didn't go very well for you. What are your thoughts on the scenario and how it went down?
No, this battle did not go well for me at all. It was really a learning experience for me. There's a couple things that I hadn't really spent a lot of time with. One was the new cannon rules. Boy, do they hurt. Those...
Yeah, if they land a hit, it's not gonna... You're gonna feel it.
Yeah, I'm used to cannons being kind of useless at the over 20-inch range, and they were not this time. Left
a mark. I did have to spend most of my fortune points to make those cannons go off, which turned out to be worth it. Yeah, kind of weird. It's either a lot or a nothing.
Yeah, you did get really lucky with that hit, but I also blame my own kind of my own reluctance to think of new strategies. Before the new cannon rules, with the best practices was when you had less units than your opponent, let them do all the moves first, so they inch all their guys closer to you, and then start moving and attacking. And that's what I plan to do this game, to just let you come to me, and then I start moving and going. But that did not work.
That has been a favorite tactic of yours for a while. You love the big units, which means you usually have less units, and you like to force the other player to play out their hand a little, so you can punish them for sticking their neck out there. But
we're getting closer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's because before, every 4 inches, you make your opponent move towards you. You know, if you're at equal distances and they move 4 inches and they now need a 9, you can then move 4 inches and now you need an 8. And then if they move another 4, they need a 7, and then you move 4, and now you need a 6.
So every time you wait, you're giving yourself a bonus, basically.
Yeah. It's with 8-inch range bands, that is not the case. I started at +2 with your gun emplacement to hit. So you were hitting on 6s, and I spent the whole game at that +2 point against that cannon.
Yeah, the one with the Sea Dogs on the left.
Yeah, there was no advantage to waiting for me. There was a big disadvantage in that I had 3 medium guns on that side too, and I think I recall having a card in my hand that would have beaten your first card, so I could have moved forward and fired, but again, I wanted to do that ruse, and it bit me in the butt.
Yeah, that first turn kind of swung the game, and it was hard to turn around after that. But oh well.
It did. It was exciting. We even had a audience too that was watching how badly it went.
But then you came back. You had a nice counterattack there. I gained confidence, and I charged my guys out on the sand, thinking I'll just overwhelm you with your guys suppressed and whatnot. And then you took off a couple roundsman's head with some solid shot, and then eliminated another unit with a massive volley from your Corsarios, and sent Charles Vane backing off of the beach again. So I was getting a little scared. I think I was overconfident, but the strike points just weren't kind to you, were they?
Yeah, they were not. I had the previous turn. You're talking about turn 2, when I had to make a strike test because I had taken the catastrophic damage and the damage to the hull, and I passed it. So I had to keep playing, and then once I kind of baited you into looking for boarding action for some melee, I was able to hit back. Casarios are still good in a fight, and as are Ziliden. So those are 2 really good melee units that I was able to push through. But the strike points I had built up from the whole game, the catastrophic damage, the 15 casualties, the half hull, the deck you occupied, the strike, the beach ship. I think even the one that the me being grounded was another strike point.
Yeah, you avoided the strike point from the scenario itself. You were within close enough to the ship, but yeah, you were every turn you were unlucky. Your ship shouldn't have beached itself, but it did, and you even
rolled that 9.
Passed that strike test on turn 2.
Yeah,
that was actually unlucky, but it would have been merciful to not.
And I was out of fortune at that point too, because I had used it all.
Oh yeah,
trying to do something.
All right. So yeah, that was a bit of a bust. How do you feel about these new factions from Raise the Black and the new scenario itself, the beach ship?
Well, I like all of the new factions, starting with those. I played the new Guarda Costa, which is a combination of Cosarios and the old Guarda Costa, and it's a fun faction. It has a nice variety of units. I decided to take a Spanish commander this time because I wanted those Spanish core units, but I love all the options now. I can play my French commanders on the Spanish list.
Yeah, you can play those hired crews. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I like all the rules, and this scenario was also really fun. We play tested this scenario way back when, and this is the first time playing it since it came out, and it's still as much fun as it was back then. I think last time we played it, I was the one on the beach, so this was a nice reversal of fortunes. It is a unique scenario that I suggest everybody try out. This is something that we know happened a couple times, was a ship being careened and then being attacked while it's being careened, because it was a tempting target usually for people that are sailing by and looking for people that shouldn't be there.
very vulnerable time to have the ship stuck, can't move. Its entire hull is visible, big target, and usually it's all its cannons and stuff are taken out of it, so you can shoot it up. Can't really defend it very well. Yeah. But my pirates, with their discipline and their lack of drinking and their lucky hits, they will win for you.
And your quartermaster didn't scheme. Like you said, they weren't drunk. Chair worked for you. I think my Milicianos never recovered the fatigue you put on them from tear. They always had that sticky fatigue.
Dice didn't go your way that turn. Well, thanks for being a good sport and playing the game anyway. It was a fun session just to see how badly things can go if one or two mistakes and then pile on the unlucky dice.
Well, every game is a learning experience, and the ones that you lose badly are especially good learning experiences.
Yeah, those memories stick with you a little better, don't they?
Yes, they do. No, thanks for playing as well.
And thank you for watching this video, viewer. We'll be trying to make battle reports of all the various scenarios in Raise the Black slowly. Quite a few more narrative scenarios with some good story behind them and some variation as far as how you can play them. I hope you guys enjoy that. Check out the rest of our channel as well. All sorts of material up there. And as always, check out our blog with all our articles. You can see some... we have the Golden Age Pirates review already up there, and we'll be putting the new Guarda Costas review up there as well at some point. Any last remarks, Guy?
Keep your dice ready and the wind at your back. Yar.